Outstanding, the ultimate accolade for teachers. We challenge primary teacher Annie Ashraf to go from good to outstanding. A top inspector will observe one lesson. 2 experts will fine-tune her practice and beef up her presentation. She then gets 2 weeks to take on the advice before the inspector comes back for the final verdict.
I went out with my friends and they were like saying, just do your worst. You can only get better after that. And I just thought, oh, okay then, but maybe not.
You're the stewardess
Right.
on a flight, and ladies and gentlemen, can you now listen please to our safety instructions? First of all, I'd like you to see the exits. You have one to your left and to your right, and in the front of the plane, to the left and to the right. Second one, traffic ward. See the cars, stop them. No words, that's it. Big gestures, that's it. And be in charge. Here we go. Very clear gestures. Just notice how much you reach out from your body. And the last one is a conductor. Yeah, really in charge. And the other hand as well. Both hands, that's it. Yeah, and now you want them all to get really excited and involved. Yes. Take this now into your classroom.
Okay. On your tables, you have a range of photographs.
Big. You have this like a big orchestra, big aeroplane, big traffic. Get your hands away from your body. Okay, once more.
As you can see, on your tables,
Yeah.
you have a pack of photographs. I'd like you to choose 3 of them.
Big. Make it really big.
3 of them.
Yeah, that's it.
3 of them.
Yeah.
And I'd like you to choose 3 of them. Take the 3 to put into your boxes to work out what human, physical, and environmental geography there is.
Yeah.
Now I want to put my hands in my pockets. Although Wendy came up with some really lovely ideas of the pictures and maps, but to be honest, the real sort of crux of what I think I'm going to be using is that inquiry process.
With her final observation just weeks away, Annie's back to the classroom to put all the advice into action and raise her game.
Yesterday, we came up with loads of questions, expecting them to be a little bit off-key in terms of, you know, what type of car dealers do you find in Walton-on-the-Naze. But some of them are really good, like, I don't know, you know, why is a groin called a groin? You know, how high can the tide get? I mean, hopefully today's lesson will get their enthusiasm, they'll start thinking more about their questions and begin to research their questions.
What is a stone marsh and what is the difference between a salt marsh and the backwaters? Doing the research on the internet you had to find a lot of things and it was hard trying to get into the detail of the actual things on Walton-on-the-Naze.
I gave them too much at the beginning. There were too many websites, too much choice.
888,000. Yeah.
I could see their frustrations that they had.
It's taken a long time to learn.
Do you think you were learning about other things while you were reading around? Main focus was the body language, so I am starting to do that more often, but it's really challenging because you're trying to organise learning in a different way and you're thinking about your body at the same time. So hopefully in 50 years' time I'll be just, you know, it will all come naturally and Ulrika will be really proud of me.
Annie reflects on her first observation with Deputy Head Richard Evans.
Physical geography.
Well, it could be about, like, you know, some people try to cycle around the world.
Questioning is, it's the king here, isn't it? It's the one that actually, you know, from there flows everything. I think it's useful to use a 3-part question here. You've got the first question out there. The first answer's being given. At this point, go to the second part of it and just use the same question but deflect it over to a neighbour and say, well, is she right with that answer? They might not give a reason. And the third part of the question, and in some ways the most important, is the third person asks the same question effectively to give a reason. Each question has got greater value. You squeeze out all you can from one question.
Makes sense.
It does. It's good.
Is there anything else that you could put in with your erosion? I mean, like things that people have been trying to stop the erosion. So what does the seawall do?
It stops the sea from coming in and falls down, and then the sea like floods everything.
I thought that the questioning felt much more productive with the smaller groups because it targeted them straight away, it pushed them in the right direction. It was quite interesting to see how much they did actually understand.
Tomorrow we should use salt marshes because that's our actual brew. I now declare it's made of mud flat. Yeah.
There are different children in this class who are coming up at different points. And those children who were quite independent in their learning, they made a real effort. But those children who weren't, you could see them wandering around the classroom or distracting other children. That kind of really, well, it made me feel like quite sort of tense. The inquiry process has been really good, but it has been really hard work. But the benefits are that the children are becoming independent in their learning and they're taking on board their own ideas and pushing themselves.
It's the day of Annie's final observation.
This is what they've done so far. They've researched their facts and they've made them into this leaflet for the parents. Quite impressed, actually. They look really good. So I've learnt loads about Walton-on-the-Naze. I've learnt loads about coastal erosion. I've learnt loads about actually the children and how they're learning. Have I learnt loads about being an outstanding geography teacher? I hope so, yeah. I mean, I suppose Claire will tell us.
Claire Gillies is back, and it's crunch time. With all that expert advice and weeks of practice behind her, will Annie have made it from good to outstanding?
Hello, these leaflets will hopefully tell you everything you need to know about super salt marshes, brilliant backwaters, wonderful wildlife and the exciting environment. Personally, I think it's absolutely shocking. The salt marshes and backwaters shouldn't be treated as a dump. People dropping litter isn't helping, it's polluting the area. A group did their presentation and we were talking about salt marshes and backwaters and the wildlife there and the environment.
The layout's quite nice and they've done it quite tightly. They haven't really cut anything off.
Right. What did we think about that leaflet? Really good things. Ted?
The way they've written interesting introduction, exciting environment and cool conclusion.
What did they use there?
Alliteration.
Alliteration. So you thought the alliteration was really good. Can you talk to your partner 3 things that you learned from looking at that leaflet? 3 things.
To protect the environment. I know there was so much wildlife just around the kind of a watery area. And seals. I didn't think we would get seals.
3.
I didn't even know there were seals in England. That seals like resting on mud banks because they're permanently ice-free.
I enjoyed watching the presentation and filling in the form thing, but I'm not quite sure if I liked listening to more facts from Miss Ashraf. I'm not sure.
What is a salt marsh?
Isn't it sort of a lake, sort of near the coast, and it's salty?
Ben?
If you actually tried to walk on the salt marsh, would you like fall through it?
You probably would sink through.
How far down is it? How deep is it?
Some places might be a little bit shallower, some places will probably be quite deep. Okay, so we kind of like worked out what salt marsh is, but what's backwaters? Can you talk to your partner? What do you think that could be?
The sea comes in and then it will go through the bank like salt marsh. It's actually backwaters,
So the water that always comes underneath
3.
the wave.
Ted?
Is it like a swamp kind
It is kind of swampy. Sebastian?
Are there currents in there?
That's a really good question. Talk with your partner. Do you think there'll be currents there?
I quite like sitting in the U-shape with all the chairs because we all got to see each other. I don't get too bored, but my legs got a bit tired. I was just staying in the same place.
Tara?
Well, sea level rising might make a flood.
That's right. Why are sea levels rising?
Pollution from here is making the ice caps melt, which makes more water to erode.
I know for homework that I asked you to research different ways that you could help to stop those sea levels rising. Can you talk to your partner one thing that you're going to try and do?
I'll just if we did it for like
5, 4, 3, 2.
Got solar panels on our house to heat all the water.
So you've already tried to get solar panels? Excellent, year 5, well done. I'd like you to very sensibly is to put your clipboards on your inquiry team tables, chairs back. Once you've done that, start walking down to the playground.
Annie, thank you very much for letting me join another geography lesson about Walton. One thing I really felt about that lesson was how much very productive work they've done in between my first visit and coming back.
Yeah.
It's really remarkable what they've produced in terms of their presentations and their leaflets.
Yeah.
I wanted to make that quite clear because I'm going to say that this particular one lesson, it just wasn't an outstanding lesson for really 2 reasons. One point would be the sort of timing of what they were doing. We were sitting on the floor for the whole hour, and within that hour we did actually have to talk to our partners many times. Now, it's great to talk to partners and lots of good thinking and questions come out, but it became quite a dominant part of the lesson.
Yeah. On reflection, no, you're quite right, completely right. That was, I felt it was, because so much information was coming out of it, you kind of got dragged with the flow of the question. It was really hard to make that decision of when to break and when to stop.
And I suppose you've hit the nail on the head in that some of the questions that were coming up were very big. And, for example, how deep is the salt marsh? If you don't feel 100% confident about the answer, you can say, now that's really interesting, I'm not quite, I need to do some work on that too, so let's put that down and we'll all look up and come back to it. And just on the point of view of what perhaps could have been parked, in a sense, was all the stuff discussing why is sea level rising, because it was again a very large thing to sort of start trying to touch on. But they've clearly enjoyed this whole unit. They're clearly enjoying the approach, and I'm certain that the field trip is going to be tremendous fun, and no doubt will raise goodness knows how many more questions. So thank you again for letting me share that lesson.
Thank you. It's been a brilliant journey, really good. I've tried to look at the children, look at what they're interested in, look at their questioning, push them on, and they've really enjoyed it themselves.